Hi, everyone. My name is Ann Max from Productive to the Max. I'm a productivity and transformation coach, speaker, consultant, and trainer. And I'm delighted to be here today. And I thank Emily for the opportunity to talk to you about saying no. No is not a four-letter word, but some of us think it is. And it's very, very hard, especially during this challenging time, to say no when we really want to do everything. We want to please people. We want to show them how well we do things, and it's very, very hard to say no. So today we're going to learn how to say no, and we're going to learn that no is not a four-letter word. So I'm going to share the screen now, and with the technology, with Zoom, sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. So let's give it a go and see what happens here. Ah, I think we might just have our little slideshow here. There we go. So a no is not a four-letter word. It's the shortest word to hear in the English language, but it's actually the hardest for others to hear and for us to hear. Nobody likes to hear the word no. And that's your first lesson here, is that you're going to learn how to say no without saying no. Or sometimes it's just good to say no. People are overwhelmed by the choices and the fears and the demands in the times we live in. And we need to say no more than ever, but we need to learn how to say it in a positive and constructive way. And we also need to learn the fact that saying no sometimes means saying less. So Southwest Airlines in the state says no to reserved seats, hot meals, and airline baggage transfers, so they can say yes to lower fares. So sometimes we have to say no in order to say yes. And there are situations where we can get to yes via no. And I see them all the time in my productivity field because I deal with people who are overwhelmed and overworked and need help getting on with their life and their business. And, projects are getting more and more complicated due to the addition of tasks and requirements and people. And there are times when putting your foot down and not letting a new feature creep into your project, or not allowing the addition of a new influence, can really help you get something finished. So sometimes the quickest way to say yes is to say no. So how do we do that? Well, today we're going to go through the 5 ways of saying no. First thing we have to do is discover who we are. The second is to determine where we are. The third, decide where you want to be. The fourth, deal with getting there. And the fifth is to develop your productivity. So it's not about the way to say no and little tips and tricks, which we're going to give you today. But like anything else in productivity, you have to know who you are and what you want before you can make decisions on saying no or yes to your priorities. And if you don't know what your priorities are or don't know what you want, then you're not going to be able to say no the proper way. So the first thing is, who are you? Discover who you are. You're super efficient, you're capable, oh, you're indispensable, you're a go-getter. You love doing everything for everybody. And we all know somebody like that, don't we? The person who's always saying yes, the person who's always stepping up to help with things. And one of the problems is that they're stepping up all the time, and you sometimes start to wonder, are they going to be able to get everything done? They're very nice, they're accommodating, they're cheerful, but also very needy. Sometimes these people are very, very needy. But by saying yes, we're really doing no one a favor, because we really can't follow through on all the requests. And by saying yes, we're saying yes very quickly, which means we're not analyzing exactly what we're saying yes to. And sometimes that can be pretty devastating. So saying yes also it's a source of stress because you can get very, very overwhelmed. But here I am, this very nice person. I always want to say yes, but oh my God, am I ever stressed because I've got so much to do. So are you like that? Why? And why? And if you're like that, why are you like that? Well, some of us feel very guilty, and I'm Jewish and I have a Jewish mother, so I know what guilt is. But we feel very guilty when we say no to people. We're going to hurt their feelings. It looks as if we really don't know what we're doing. Maybe we're a bit incompetent. If we say no, we'll be judged and categorized. And if we say no to people who are a higher level than us, it appears that we don't respect authority. So, and a lot of people feel guilty even if they think about saying no to something. They get nervous, they get overwhelmed, but you're actually not helping anyone, and you know that, okay? If you don't have time to do something, say no and try your best not to feel bad about it. Think of all the other good things you do that you don't feel guilty about. So this one, I know I can do it well, but I'm going to have to say no. So one of the keys to saying no is identifying your priorities. Okay. So that's why we're looking at who we are. Okay. And what we value and what we want. And if we don't know what we want and know what we value, um, we can be quite selfish. It can look as if it's being selfish because we just want to be liked. Okay. But we need to replace that selfish with self-care. So we have to choose our priorities, choose what we're going to say no to, and take care of ourselves so we're not totally, totally overwhelmed. So what I'd like you to do is start contemplating your navel. What are your beliefs? What are your ethics? Do you have a mission statement if it's for your business or if it's for yourself? Ask yourself some questions. What did you dream of being when you were young? Are you doing what matters right now? Are you moving in the direction of your dreams? Do you allow yourself to be authentic? Are you trying to be someone you're not? And I think that's very valuable in this saying no episode because we're trying to appease people, please people all the time. But really, that's not really what we want. And that's really not what we are. But since I don't know what I am, I'm just going to try to please everybody and maybe I'll find it that way. So you have to ask those type of questions. What are you avoiding? What are you tolerating? What's working in your life? Know who you are and where you are. Take a good look at your values, your goals, and priorities. It's really easy to say no when you're organized, when you have priorities down, when you have everything on your calendar. Someone comes in and is disturbing you at 10 o'clock in the morning, and you look at the calendar and you say to them, "Oh, I'm so sorry, I have a meeting at 10 o'clock. Can we do this a little later?" So it shows that you know what you're doing, you're very in control, and the no doesn't seem to be so difficult when the other person hears it. So we've talked about who we are, um, and now we're going to determine where we are in this little no scenario. So are you saying yes all the time? Feels good, doesn't it? Oh, I can say yes, and I can say I'm going to do this. I'm going to take on all kinds of things, and I'm really going to feel good about myself. It's very rewarding. It can lead to promotions and maybe more money. But when you say yes to any request, no matter what it is, who's asking, or how much work you already have on your plate, you open the door to being just totally overwhelmed, totally exhausted. We have so much to do. We have work, we have friends, we have family. And what happens is when you actually say no and you can commit, but you can't follow through on what you're doing, it does not show you in a very good light. So it's time to take care of yourself. You don't want to be pushed to the breaking point with deadlines and to-dos and all your own things that you have to do. And, you say, I'm too busy at the moment, or I'll see what I can do for you. But when you say yes, is that really how people perceive you? Or do they perceive you as anybody who will do anything, anytime? Somebody who doesn't prioritize, someone who doesn't take care of themselves, someone who doesn't follow a list of to-dos and a calendar so they can really say no with a real reason. So are you a bit wishy-washy? And did they come to you to ask you all the time because they know you're going to say yes? Or are you saying no all the time? Now, there's consequences to saying no all the time. And in certain corporations and in certain businesses, there's more consequences. So you have to know what will work in your particular business. If you're self-employed, you will be saying no to people who are outside, to clients, to vendors, to people like that. If you are in a corporation or a big company, you will be saying no to people who have a higher level than you, and that could have its consequences. So you really have to know not only who you are and what you will put up with, but you have to know and preempt anything that's going to come from certain people. So you have to do a little bit of digging. You have to know what's happening in your company and in your business. You want to say no to restore some order and balance to your life. And your career can thrive, but you will have some opportunities if you say no all the time. Maybe you won't be part of the inner sanctum. Maybe you won't be part of the circle that knows what's going on. Somebody else might get better work to do. Somebody else might be perceived as being better. We all want to feel appreciated and useful, but it's often better to say no and concentrate on the few things that you can say yes to and really, really deliver good results. Take heed of the wise words of Steve Robinson, leadership and efficiency expert. Something's got to give. Don't let it be you. So we discovered who you are. We determined where you are. Now you got to decide, where do you want to be? So you have your ethics and your values and your priorities down pat. So, and you're looking at the fact, well, I always say yes. I really do. I say yes a lot more. And I don't want to say yes. I want time to do things really, really well. I want to be perceived as being very knowledgeable. I want to be perceived as being very competent, but I'm going to have to reduce the amount of times that I say no and the amount of times that I say yes. So decide where you want to be according to what your culture is, according to where you're working and what you're doing, according to what you want your life to be. So there's the Steve Robbins. Something's got to give. Don't let it be you. So we discovered who we are. We determined where you are. We decided where you want to be. Good for you. Got to congratulate yourself too. That's really, really important whenever you want to be productive. Congratulate yourself on the fact that you're here and you're listening to this and you're following along and hopefully taking notes. And the fact that you really want to change and want to improve yourself. And then when you make any kind of a decision to take the steps to productivity, say, good for me, all the time. So you're going to deal with getting there. So what you want to do is you want to say, I'm not automatically going to say yes. So before you respond, wait. Sometimes we tend to respond right away. Oh, yes, I'd love to come to the birthday party. And then you realize that you don't really like the person, that they have terrible parties, that the people who come to their parties are really boring, and that they're very long and you can never get out of there. So wait before you answer. It's always very productive to wait before you do anything, frankly, and get the facts, man. What's happening? Okay. Is this the best use of my time? And I know that's very important, and understand requests before you do anything with them. So depending on where you're working, depending on what's happening, depending on who is requesting it, sometimes you can preempt it because you know that Jerry from, the mailroom is always asking for things just because he's lazy, but he can really do it himself. So if you already know that, you can offer the proper no. Oh, Jerry, you're always doing that kind of thing. You can do it better yourself. So you know what's happening and you know the person is. So get the facts first before you add tasks and projects to things you don't have to. And when we hear someone ask us something, we always think, oh my God, I got to do it right now. I don't know what that is, but I feel the same way. Okay, somebody asked me to do something. Oh yeah, I got to do it right now. Well, that's, as you know, it's not very productive because you've already planned things to do. Okay, you don't have to do it right now. So you can say, oh, do I have to do it right now? Like, you have to investigate and see what's happening, right? What's this all about? What do you want me to do? How long does it take? Can someone else help you? When does it have to be done? Or you can sleep on it. And sometimes that's a really good idea, especially if you're not sure that you're not sure about taking on the project, how it will affect you. So you have time to decide, or maybe sometimes it looks like you have time to decide what to do. And also, like anything that's left hanging, if you say to them, I'm going to sleep on it, maybe they won't come back and bother you about it again. Maybe it'll fall off the radar. That happens. So very important, to get information. Are you the best person for the job? Is this the best use of your time and energy? Is this going to throw off your plans? Or is saying yes going to lead to more and more requests for your time? Don't automatically say yes. So we did don't automatically say no. Don't automatically say yes is the same thing. Okay. You can't say yes just to get rid of requests because people are not going to leave. Okay. Sometimes you even have to say to them, leave, you know, be proactive, just like saying no, and anticipate what kind of requests you want to receive on a regular basis. How many requests you're going to receive on a regular basis. So you anticipate what's going to happen and you know how to respond. And remember, the minute somebody asks you to do something, you've got to analyze how many projects you have on the go, how many to-dos you have on the go, what your state of mind is. What can you take away maybe from one of those projects to do something? So if your boss asks you to do something and you've got to say yes, you should be looking at everything else that you're doing and saying, what can I get rid of? What is necessary and beneficial to me in this particular scenario? And then decide how you're going to respond. We're going to talk about responses just at the end of this presentation, and preempt the decision by taking it up with the person beforehand, because you know that the boss, or you know that your husband, or you know that the kids are going to ask you something. So have that response ready, because you have analyzed your day, your week, your month, and it can be a yes or it can be a no. And learn to choose no. No is the direct result of the choices you make due to your priorities. If saying yes leaves you frustrated and stressed, annoyed with yourself, and feeling deep down that you're not really worthy, then you're putting your priorities in the wrong place. Try choosing no more often, and say it politely, say it assertively, and with conviction. And you know, it can really, really make you feel very, very good. Find a better way to meet them. Find a better way to say no to them. Get rid of that fear of saying no because you know you deserve it. And you'll find much, much better peace of mind and you'll feel better. And assert and discipline yourself. So don't saying no, you need to respect yourself. And you respect yourself by knowing who you are, where you're going, what you're doing, and you're really, really sure of it. I'm sure you've all met people like that who just, you know, that if they say no, they really mean it, and the person's going to back off. But we've also met people who are very meek, sort of, and the no, I'm so sorry, no, I don't think I can do it. Okay, and the assertiveness is not there, the respect is not there for themselves, and it doesn't come out well. So the more that you have a foundation for your life and you know what you want and who you are, and this is who I am, this is what I want. So I'm saying no. Say it with forceful conviction. And it shows that you're respecting other people's needs and your own. So you've come a long way now. You've discovered who you are, you've determined where you are, you've decided where you want to be, you've dealt with getting there, and now you're going to develop your productivity. How are you going to say no? So let's go through some of the things. Say no to the task and not the person. So really, when someone comes to you and asks you something, yeah, try to avoid going into the person's personality. Oh, she's so lovely. How can I say no? Oh, she always helps me. How can I say no? Don't think about it. Think about the task, not the person, and say no. Oh, I'm so sorry. I cannot do that annual report today. Be appreciative. Oh, thank you so much for coming to me. You know, I and saying that I'm the only person that can do it as well as, you know, I just do it so well. But I won't be able to do that. And how about we ask Mary to do it? Or I could possibly do it next year. Or I could maybe start you off with a few ideas and then you can take it yourself and finish it. Explain why simply. So we all know those people, and I do it too, where, oh, I'm so sorry, I can't do it. You know, the dog threw up this morning, the kids are sick, the cat's teething, and I have 10,000 projects today, and I got up on the wrong side of the bed, and I got up late, blah, 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 and off, on you go. Well, that just allows someone to jump in and say, well, you can fit that in someplace, you can do it. But if you explain simply and just keep saying the same thing over and over and over and make it short and sweet, then that person will go away. So I'm really so sorry. I don't have any time to do that this year. And go into the, you know, perhaps Mary can help you, perhaps, you know, I can start you off, that kind of thing. Practice saying no. So, you know, look for opportunities to say no. Stand in front of the mirror and practice saying no. Practice with your family. The more you say it, the more you will believe it. And if you have difficulty practicing some of the answers, that means that you've got to go back into the, you know, who am I? Where am I going? What am I doing? Why am I saying no to this? Well, I really deserve it. I mean, you might be happy saying no to everything. And what happens is, if you say yes to everything, you eventually resent anybody who comes to you and you start getting a little snarky. Don't get to that point. You can also get very overwhelmed and have a breakdown and things like that because you said so yes so many times. Make no mean no. So say it loud, say it clear, stand up when you say it, and realize all the background to it is I deserve it. I know what I'm doing. No means no. Embrace your intuition. And I find that fascinating because I believe that productivity has an awful amount of intuition involved. And a lot of us are very, very intuitive. So the minute that you realize that you can't do this and you see this person coming towards you and you're intuiting that they're going to ask you, embrace that and say, it's just not going to happen. And maybe it's because they're asking you for the wrong reasons. And that's something that, you want to respect yourself by embracing your intuition. Offer something positive in return. So, perhaps I can give you 5 minutes of my time. Perhaps I can start you off. Perhaps you can do it and I can mentor you as you're going through it. Okay. Perhaps we can find someone else to help you with this task. State the same message over and over. So I explained that in Why Simply, and state the same message over and over and over. Say, I don't, not I can't. Okay. So I really don't feel that I have the time to take this on at this point. I know Mary's very good at planning parties, and maybe her and John could do it. But I really don't feel that I have the time to do it right now. So sometimes just the change in words will give the perception a better look at who you are. Offer to get things started. I mentioned that. Put yourself first. Very, very important. Because you're so productive, because you've been planning your life, because you know what you're doing and you're good at it, and you don't want to take on anything that is not going to bring you a good return. You don't want to take on anything that's going to prevent you from doing the jobs that need to be done and have good results. So put yourself first. And smile and say no. So sometimes when I teach this, and it always gets a laugh, just stand up there and smile and say no. Or, you can also say, you got to be kidding. You're not asking me to do that. You know how busy I am. So a sense of humor is really, really good when you are saying no, but only if you're funny. If you're not funny, don't bother. So we discovered who you are, where you want to be. We dealt with getting there, and we've developed your productivity. We're at the end of our presentation, and we only had 30 minutes this morning, and this is a pretty big subject. So I hope you got a taste of what you can do to avoid being overwhelmed and overworked and overbooked. I would love if you would subscribe to my Max Tips. I have a newsletter. And I thought that my email is info@productivetomax.com. So if you would like to subscribe to the Max Tips, I would be able to send you a list of actual sayings of how to say no. So thank you very much for taking the time to listen to this. I hope this has helped you in your road to productivity, and have a great and productive day.